Today, we're investigating Discipline is Predetermination by Ryan Occasion, a manual for dominating the force of discretion. Have you at any point felt like your feelings or motivations keep you away from arriving at your actual potential? Do you battle to keep fixed on your objectives, just to be diverted by transient delights? Provided that this is true, you're in good company. However, here's the uplifting news. Discipline isn't tied in with being unbending or dreary. It's tied in with making the equilibrium to appreciate life while remaining focused on your yearnings. Consider it. How frequently do we allow interruptions to dominate? Online entertainment, marathon watching, or even delaying can consume hours of our day. Envision what could occur assuming we diverted that time into significant work or self-improvement. Consider the possibility that you had the restraint to beat these interruptions and accomplish more each and every day. This book shows us how discipline isn't a weight. It's a superpower. By figuring out how to get a handle on your feelings, focus on what is important, and put down clear stopping points, you can change your life. Whether it's driving yourself to finish responsibilities without depending on inspiration, or wiping out propensities that channel your energy, discipline is the key. In this rundown, we'll uncover procedures to construct useful propensities, remain committed, and expand each snapshot of your day. You'll likewise learn time usage strategies that keep you adaptable yet engaged, prepared to assume command over your life and begin living with reason. How about we make a plunge? Assault the first light. Do you get up promptly toward the beginning of the day? For a great many people, leaving the solace of their bed at 5 a.m. feels like an unthinkable test. How could anybody enthusiastically decide to begin their day so early? In any case, trained individuals make it happen, not on the grounds that they appreciate it, but since they have solid reasons driving them. So for what reason would it be advisable for you to get up ahead of schedule? Since when the remainder of the world is snoozing, the peaceful hours of the morning offer you an exceptional chance to work with unmatched concentration and energy. Early mornings are liberated from interruptions, making them the ideal chance to take part in imaginative work, gain some new useful knowledge, or gain ground toward your fantasies. Your brain is at its most keen, and you're bound to deliver your smartest thoughts during this time. In the event that you're accustomed to getting up late, odds are you battle to carve out sufficient opportunity to chip away at your objectives. Your day rapidly becomes consumed by work liabilities, family responsibilities, and day-to-day errands, undertakings that seldom add to your self-awareness. Interestingly, awakening even an hour sooner can emphatically affect your efficiency. It permits you to ponder what's absent in your life, audit your objectives, and plan for improved results. Take the rousing illustration of Toni Morrison, a single parent with 2 kids. Filling in as a proofreader indiscriminately house, a requesting position that left her depleted before the day's over, she scarcely had the energy for whatever else. However, Toni longed for turning into an essayist. The main time she could cut out for her enthusiasm was in the early morning hours before her youngsters awakened. Each day, she would ascend before sunrise, make herself some espresso, and drench herself in her viewpoints. It was during these tranquil minutes, liberated from interruptions, that Toni composed with lucidity and devotion. She accepted her imaginative energy was most grounded in the early hours when the remainder of the world was sleeping. When the sun rose, her day was loaded up with the typical requests of being a mother, cooking, cleaning, and really focusing on her youngsters, alongside her everyday work. Regardless of her difficulties, Toni never let her fatigue stop her. Her discipline paid off, and in 1970, her most memorable novel, The Bluest Eye, was distributed. Throughout the long term, she composed various books, youngsters' books, plays, and brief tales. Her work procured her esteemed distinctions, including the Nobel Prize, a public book grant, and the official Decoration of Opportunity. Toni Morrison's story shows us a crucial illustration. Regardless of how requesting your life is, getting up early can give you the edge to seek after your fantasies. Envision what you could accomplish with only an additional 1 hour of centered work every day. Whenever you're enticed to hit nap, contemplate your desires. Could it be said that they are not worth the work? Would you like to get a more promising time to come for yourself? Keep in mind, while you're lying in bed, others are rising early and excelling. Will you let them win, or will you get up and battle for your fantasies? Indeed, even your precursors grasped the force of early mornings. They would awaken at sunrise to tend their fields, chase, and make. Their lives were straightforward, however they viewed their obligations in a serious way. You, as well, can possibly accomplish substantially more, and getting up early is a propensity that can take you there. So rise early, make the most of every opportunity, and move toward turning into the individual you seek to be. Simply appear. The following propensity that will lift your discipline is just appearing each and every day, regardless of how you feel. Discipline implies finishing the work you set off on a mission to do, in any event, when you're unmotivated or deadened. Need to get in shape? Begin with a straightforward 1-mile walk. Need to become familiar with the violin? Practice for only 10 minutes every day. Longing for composing a book? Focus on composing a couple of pages every day. Searching for a superior work? Network with new clients reliably. The key isn't how much or how impeccably you follow through with something. It's that you make it happen. You will most likely be unable to control the results of your activities, however you have some control over the actual activities. Every day, make something like one stride that carries you nearer to your fantasies. After some time, this consistency puts you in front of 90% of your rivals. A great many people need either the abilities or the diligence to stay with something. They sit tight for the ideal second, the right state of mind, or an eruption of inspiration. However, achievement has a place with the individuals who don't pause. They act. In any event, when life gives you each motivation to stop, continue onward. Try not to let uncertainty, dread, or transitory mishaps keep you down. Regardless of whether you assume you missed the mark on abilities important to succeed, the actual work sets out open doors. Take Thomas Edison, for instance, perhaps of history's most eminent designer. Regardless of his virtuoso, Edison didn't credit his prosperity to unprecedented ability. He accepted he wasn't especially wise or innovative, truth be told. His mysterious, tenacious exertion. Edison didn't hang tight for motivation. He just continued to work. That's what he trusted, assuming that a good thought came to his lab. He should have been there to get it, in any case another person would. For Edison, virtuoso was definitely not an uncommon gift, however a result of steady difficult work. By appearing consistently, controlling his feelings and handling issues head-on, he transformed conventional endeavors into uncommon outcomes. He wasn't roused to develop. He essentially centered around tracking down arrangements that improved life. Another strong model is Lou Gehrig, the unbelievable baseball player for the Yankees. Known for his discipline, Gehrig seldom missed practice, in any event, when he was harmed or exhausted. He worked resolutely to work on his abilities, never permitting uncertainty or fatigue to slow down his devotion to the game. At a certain point, Gehrig considered leaving the Yankees when he attempted to keep up with his situation. In any case, a scout persuaded him to remain, underscoring the contrast between a normal player and an extraordinary one, reliable exertion. Gehrig acknowledged that he had no control over the consequences of his activities. He could rehearse for a really long time without seeing prompt improvement, however he didn't let that stop him. This outlook features a significant truth. Only ability is no counterpart for difficult work and consistency. Whether you feel propelled or dicey, continue to push forward. Keep in mind, following through with something, no matter how little, is in every case better compared to sitting idle. Discipline is the groundwork of achievement. Regardless of whether you're the most shrewd individual in the room, you will not accomplish significance without consistency and exertion. One useful day will not satisfy your fantasies, yet consistent advancement will. The work you put in today probably won't show results right away, however its effect will be apparent tomorrow. So assume command over your feelings, appear, and focus on the cycle. Achievement doesn't need flawlessness. It requires constancy. Look for uneasiness. Current life has made everything so natural. You can get cash online with a solitary snap, request steaming hot dinners, and shop without getting out of your home. You can bring in cash lying on your love seat and spend it online also. Basically, you can carry on with as long as you can remember while never leaving the solace of your home. However, here's the issue. This agreeable life can turn into a dependence. Today, the vast majority are fixated on making their lives as simple as could really be expected. We pine for moment achievement since we would rather not set forth the energy. We construct brilliant homes since we need to stay away from family tasks. We recruit caretakers to get away from the test of overseeing uproarious youngsters. We dispose of anything that causes us to feel awkward. While these decisions could make life more straightforward, they likewise debilitate our self-control. Assuming you encircle yourself with an excessive amount of solace, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Life won't generally be your ally, and what's in store is flighty. Imagine a scenario where you lose all your cash. Imagine a scenario where you lose your family or home. Will you be prepared to face such extreme difficulties? Try not to allow solace to subjugate you since it won't endure forever. All things considered, make yourself harsh and intense. Challenge yourself. Run a long-distance race. Live without cooling for a couple of days. Lift loads, wash up, or invest some energy without the web. Stretch your boundaries and embrace inconvenience. The key is tracking down balance. Try not to be excessively unforgiving on yourself, yet don't enjoy a lot of all things considered. Partake in some solace, yet constantly test your cutoff points. The apathetic rationalist Seneca fills in as a motivating model. He was rich, having acquired a critical fortune from his dad. However, rather than enjoying extravagance, he contributed his abundance shrewdly and developed significantly more extravagant. Regardless of carrying on with an agreeable life, Seneca didn't allow himself to get dependent on it. Occasionally, Seneca would live like an unfortunate person for a couple of days. During this time, he ate insignificant food, wore straightforward and modest garments, and, surprisingly, dozed on the ground. His eating routine comprised of just bread and water. By encountering this uneasiness, Seneca set himself up for life's difficulties. Today, many individuals deliberately embrace distress. A wash up each day to harden themselves. Others slice out extravagances to turn out to be more useful and push their limits. While many display this way of life via web-based entertainment, Seneca's methodology was profoundly private and deliberate. To start with, he persevered through uneasiness to encounter life's cruel real factors and demonstrated to himself that he could beat them. He regarded these minutes as a test, one not entirely set in stone to pass. Second, he needed to figure out the battles of poor people. By living like them, he liberated himself from the anxiety toward losing his abundance. While his rich companions couldn't envision existence without cash, Seneca was unafraid of getting by on bread and water. Seneca's focused decisions even saved his life. He was an emotionless guide to the Roman ruler Nero. Furthermore, when Nero's way of behaving became unpredictable, Seneca chose to leave. He was able to surrender all his abundance in return for his opportunity. Nero, unfit to understand the reason why anybody would forsake such wealth, chose to harm Seneca to keep him from leaving. In any case, Seneca's moderate way of life, living on berries and water, made him resistant to the toxic substance. His decision to embrace distress at last saved his life. So what are your life decisions? In the event that life rattles at you, will you be prepared to confront it? The individual who succeeds at life is the person who can deal with any circumstance. By making your life somewhat self-conscious, you can set yourself up to confront whatever comes your direction. Inconvenience isn't your adversary. It's your most prominent instructor. Begin looking for it today, and you'll find a more grounded, stronger rendition of yourself. Keep the primary thing the most compelling thing. Defining limits is one of the most underestimated keys to progress. Without figuring out how to kill interruptions, you'll continuously think of yourself as falling behind. Fruitful individuals block time every day to zero in on one key errand. Solely after finishing their needs do they enjoy exercises like going to parties, sitting in front of the television, or noting calls. Expressing yes to everything frequently demonstrates an absence of lucidity and reason. To track down your motivation, ask yourself, what are my needs? How more might I at any point help my vocation, family, and local area? What would it be a good idea for me to zero in on the present moment? When you recognize the responses, focus on a certain something and express no to all the other things. By continually saying okay, you harm your expert life, lose true serenity, and undermine your joy. Interruptions don't simply hurt your vocation. They deny you of significant time. You could spend unwinding, perusing a book, or in any event, getting a charge out of minutes with your loved ones. Each yes to others is a no to time with your youngsters, cleaning your home, or offering heartfelt minutes to your accomplice. The fault doesn't lie with others for diverting you. It lies with you for permitting it. Figuring out how to say no is fundamental since it shows you care about your family, profession, and future development. Safeguarding these needs is your obligation. Take Booker T. Washington, the organizer behind the Tuskegee establishment, for instance. In spite of his requesting timetable of venturing out to grow his association's span, meeting givers, conveying addresses, and overseeing raising money occasions, he likewise figured out how to compose 5 books. His capacity to define limits made this conceivable. By excelling at saying no, Booker made time for the things that made the biggest difference to him. Booker's fault-finders frequently called him egotistical for declining to allow anything to upset his concentration. However, he knew his main goal, to work on the existences of whatever number individuals as could be allowed. To accomplish this, he needed to express no to interruptions. He didn't sit around agonizing over others' thought process. He was laser-centered around his motivation, which was to instruct individuals of color and ladies. Permitting himself to be occupied would have implied botching significant chances to make genuine change. This is the cost of saying okay. At the point when you express yes to a certain something, you're all the while expressing no to something different. You may be dismissing time with your family, delaying composing the main section of your book, or passing up on the opportunity to assist somebody with working on their life. In the event that you don't distinguish your needs, you'll become prey to individuals who burn through your time. Quit pursuing recent fads, going to interminable evening gatherings, or jumping starting with one work then on to the next. Having a go at all that implies you won't ever prevail with regards to anything. Perceiving your limits is likewise imperative. Take on just however much you can deal with. On the off chance that you're reluctant to say no, begin rehearsing. Saying no isn't inconsiderate. It's tied in with lining up with your vision forever. Apologize respectfully and decline whatever doesn't accommodate your objectives. Overcommitting prompts weariness, lost concentration, and floating away from your fantasies. You can't focus on everything, and performing multiple tasks is a legend. Achievement comes just when you center around the right things. Whenever you're going to express yes to something, ask yourself, what will I need to surrender to do this? The response will help you to remember your needs and assist with inspiring you to transform that yes into a major no. Remain on track, put down stopping points, and keep the primary thing the central thing. Hair-splitting is a bad habit. What is hair-splitting? It's a fixation on doing things faultlessly. At the point when you set ridiculously elevated requirements for each errand, you become a fuss budget. While taking a stab at flawlessness can periodically be useful, it's frequently inefficient and, surprisingly, disastrous. Compulsiveness can be compared to selfishness. It originates from the conviction that your work is important to the point that others are enthusiastically sitting tight for your next creation. This outlook can trap you into working interminably to convey simply awesome. In any case, as a general rule, this isn't discipline or efficiency. It's narcissism. In all actuality, the vast majority couldn't care less about your work as you suspect they do. Everybody is occupied with their own lives. The people who genuinely love you don't pass judgment on the nature of your result. They'll see the value in it whether or not it's ideal or simply normal. The risk of compulsiveness is that it frequently prompts botched open doors. Sitting tight for the ideal work or amazing circumstances could mean you let brilliant possibilities sneak past. You end up stuck on one undertaking, incapable to push ahead, while incalculable different accomplishments stay far off. Certain individuals use hairsplitting as a cover for lingering. They postpone activity, asserting they're sitting tight for the right inspiration or optimal conditions. Today, we're investigating Discipline is Predetermination by Ryan Occasion, a manual for dominating the force of discretion. Have you at any point felt like your feelings or motivations keep you away from arriving at your actual potential? Do you battle to keep fixed on your objectives, just to be diverted by transient delights? Provided that this is true, you're in good company. However, here's the uplifting news. Discipline isn't tied in with being unbending or dreary. It's tied in with making the equilibrium to appreciate life while remaining focused on your yearnings. Consider it. How frequently do we allow interruptions to dominate? Online entertainment, marathon watching, or even delaying can consume hours of our day. Envision what could occur assuming we diverted that time into significant work or self-improvement. Consider the possibility that you had the restraint to beat these interruptions and accomplish more each and every day. This book shows us how discipline isn't a weight. It's a superpower. By figuring out how to get a handle on your feelings, focus on what is important, and put down clear stopping points, you can change your life. Whether it's driving yourself to finish responsibilities without depending on inspiration, or wiping out propensities that channel your energy, discipline is the key. In this rundown, we'll uncover procedures to construct useful propensities, remain committed, and expand each snapshot of your day. You'll likewise learn time usage strategies that keep you adaptable yet engaged, prepared to assume command over your life and begin living with reason. How about we make a plunge? In all actuality, they're misleading themselves. Rather than making slow, consistent advancement, they pursue flawlessness and at last come up short. On the off chance that you're chasing after an objective, you can't stop since things are somewhat flawed. Ending progress because of flaws is an indication of dread. All things being equal, you should continue onward, in any event, when inspiration is deficient. In this world, you play a part to play. The key isn't how much or how impeccably you follow through with something. It's that you make it happen. You will be unable to control the results of your activities, yet you have some control over the actual activities. Every day, make no less than one stride that carries you nearer to your fantasies. After some time, this consistency puts you in front of 90% of your rivals. A great many people need either the abilities or the diligence to stay with something. They sit tight for the ideal second, the right state of mind, or an eruption of inspiration. Yet, achievement has a place with the people who don't stand by. They act. In any event, when life gives you each motivation to stop, continue onward. Try not to let uncertainty, dread, or impermanent difficulties keep you down. Regardless of whether you assume you missed the mark on abilities important to succeed, the actual work sets out open doors. Take Thomas Edison, for instance, quite possibly of history's most famous innovator. In spite of his virtuoso, Edison didn't credit his prosperity to uncommon ability. He accepted he wasn't especially keen or inventive, as a matter of fact. His mysterious, determined exertion. Edison didn't sit tight for motivation. He basically continued to work. That's what he trusted, assuming that a good thought came to his lab, he should have been there to get it, in any case another person would. For Edison, virtuoso was certainly not an uncommon gift, yet a side effect of predictable difficult work. By appearing consistently, controlling his feelings and handling issues head-on, he transformed standard endeavors into unprecedented outcomes. He wasn't enlivened to concoct. He just centered around tracking down arrangements that improved life. Another strong model is Lou Gehrig, the incredible baseball player for the Yankees. Known for his discipline, Gehrig seldom missed practice, in any event, when he was harmed or exhausted. He worked resolutely to work on his abilities, never permitting uncertainty or fatigue to impede his devotion to the game. At a certain point, Gehrig considered leaving the Yankees when he attempted to keep up with his situation. What's more, satisfying it requires versatility and strength. Take the case of Martha Graham, the prestigious choreographer. In 1931, she battled while dealing with a stately dance enlivened by Mayan and Aztec societies. Martha was a stickler, scrutinizing each move her artists made. She dreaded the presentation wouldn't satisfy her guidelines, which could hurt her standing. She spent the whole winter planning this dance schedule, yet stayed disappointed with her work. Her artists, however gifted and committed, enjoyed the new daily practice. However, Martha could see blemishes and became caught in her decisive considerations, uncertain of how to continue. Luckily, she had somebody to direct her, her music chief, Louis Horst. Louis reliably pushed Martha to simply decide and push ahead. He advised her that progress matters, regardless of whether it's blemished. With his help, Martha completed the dance. It wasn't perfect, however it was finished. Leonardo da Vinci confronted comparable battles. He frequently experienced issues completing his canvases. Steve Occupations likewise wrestled with hairsplitting while at the same time fostering the Mac. Indeed, even after finish, he wondered whether or not to deliver it, which in the long run prompted his removing from Apple. Ralph Ellison, the writer of the magnum opus The Imperceptible Man, composed various compositions, yet would never force himself to distribute a subsequent book. For makers, hairsplitting can be profoundly horrendous. It can leave them stuck, unfit to push ahead, and overpowered with nervousness. The course of creation ought to be charming, yet when individuals fail to remember this, all they're left with is dissatisfaction, stress, and disillusionment. In the event that you're stuck on an errand in view of compulsiveness, what you really want is a push. Whether it's self-inspiration or help from a companion or coach, it is crucial for break liberated from compulsiveness. Rather than hanging tight for motivation or the ideal second, plunge into your work and finish it. All things considered, imagine a scenario in which the motivation you're hanging tight for never comes. Will you stay stuck until the end of time? Progress, regardless of how blemished, is in every case better compared to stopping. Could you at any point get back up? Being focused doesn't mean you won't ever confront disappointment. It implies that when life wrecks you, you have the solidarity to get back up. Difficulties, mishaps, and even losses are inescapable. The main thing is the means by which you respond to them. Assuming you have the determination to remain back up, you'll gain from the experience, develop further, and move along. Be that as it may, assuming you let disappointment characterize you and decline to attempt once more, you'll stay a washout. Life is clearly flawed, nor are individuals. You will commit errors. It is urgent to acknowledge those mix-ups. On the off chance that you're a fuss budget, you'll have to deal with your elevated expectations and embrace your flaws. Any other way, every disappointment will feel impossible, making it harder for you to rise once more. The way to pushing ahead is saving your self-image and gaining from your missteps. You have liabilities to satisfy, a daily existence to live, and a future to construct. You weren't put here to allow a couple of mix-ups to overcome you. You're here to seek after a mission. What's more, that requires battling on, regardless of how you feel. Genuine experts won't ever surrender. They continue to work since they're enthusiastic about what they do. At the point when you're profoundly associated with your motivation, disappointment isn't the end. It's simply one more step on your excursion. So will you let a solitary disappointment deny you of your joy and your calling? Take Floyd Patterson, the expert fighter who lost the heavyweight title to Ingemar Johansson in 1959. Floyd had prepared hard for the battle, however something was absent. Some said he needed responsibility. Others accepted he'd lost his yearning to win. Floyd himself conceded that arrogance in his abilities made him eager and reckless. In the ring, obviously Floyd wasn't prepared to guarantee triumph. His pride eclipsed his battling soul. What's more, he underrated his rival, a slip-up that cost him the title. Floyd was thumped down multiple times. By the third round, the battle was finished. For most boxing champions, losing a title spells almost certain doom for their vocation. Floyd could have faced a similar outcome had he not got an unforeseen letter. The letter came from Archie Moore, a fighter Floyd had once crushed. Archie expounded on the dull feelings that follow a misfortune, something he profoundly comprehended. He urged Floyd to change his procedure, train harder, and trust in his capacity to recover his title. The letter, loaded up with generosity and backing, reignited Floyd's appetite to win. Motivated, he got back to preparing with recharged assurance. He broke down his misfortune, rehearsed the moves Archie had recommended, and more than once watched film of the match to distinguish and address his shortcomings. After a year, Floyd ventured once more into the ring with Ingemar Johansson. This time, his discipline and responsibility paid off. Floyd crushed Ingemar with such power that his adversary couldn't get back up. Floyd left a mark on the world as the main heavyweight fighter to recover the title belt. Assuming that you were in Floyd's place, what might you have done? Could you have surrendered or battled your direction back? The response relies totally upon you. Discipline isn't tied in with keeping away from disappointment. It's tied in with tracking down the fortitude to remain back up. Once more, like Floyd, you can rise, more grounded, and better prepared to confront whatever comes your direction. Your response to disappointment characterizes your predetermination. So the following time life challenges you, ask yourself, might I at any point get back up? Cash is a hazardous device. We as a whole strive to accomplish independence from the rat race. Yet, the quest for cash can at times strip life of its delight. Individuals battling with destitution frequently penance their current bliss for building a superior future. Then again, affluent people might burn through cash wildly, living at the time and neglecting to save or contribute for what's to come. Neither one of the methodologies is great. Life requires balance. At the point when we have cash, we can spend it as we wish, yet provided that the reasons are significant and supported. At the point when we don't have cash, we should make a solid effort to work on our funds. However, we shouldn't neglect to appreciate life en route. Take Darling Ruth, the amazing American baseball pitcher, for instance. He brought in more cash than even the leader of the U.S. at that point, however wasted his abundance without contemplating what's to come. Ruth didn't save or contribute. All things considered, he spent sumptuously and later lamented his extreme way of life. At the pinnacle of his vocation with the Yankees, Ruth procured $6,000 each month, a fortune back then. He got himself a bike, and as his compensation expanded, he moved up to a games vehicle. Ruth's bike, and as his compensation expanded, he moved up to a games vehicle. Ruth's ways of managing money turned out to be progressively extreme. He wore costly calfskin coats, precious stone pins, and silk shirts. At the point when tales spread about battles among him and his better half, Ruth answered by getting her a $5,000 coat to offer to set things right. In any event, when the Yankees were confronting monetary battles, Ruth was known for tossing sumptuous gatherings and booking lodgings for his partners. In one occurrence, when he found that a lodging didn't have a piano, he got one for them. While Ruth was a virtuoso in sports, he was gullible about funds. He accepted cash would continuously stream in and never thought about what might occur in the event that he could never again play baseball. In the same way as Ruth burned through cash as a method for making up for the close-to-home shortfalls of his life as a youngster. Individuals who grow up lacking affection or essential necessities frequently attempt to remunerate by demonstrating their value through abundance. In any case, no measure of cash can purchase genuine satisfaction. Both the rich and the unfortunate face their own battles, and nobody in this world is totally free or blissful. The motivation behind cash is to purchase opportunity, not joy. At the point when you have to the point of covering your requirements and investigate open doors, you ought to be thankful. Be that as it may, when you're continually stressed over cash, you become a captive to your longings. It depends on you to choose. Will you use cash as an instrument to accomplish your objectives, or will you make it the focal point of your life? Lenient with others. Severe with yourself. What kind of individual would you say you are? Could it be said that you are severe with yourself? Do you get a sense of ownership with your activities, and do you anticipate that others should be however capable as you seem to be? Being severe with yourself is fundamental, yet it isn't to be excessively condemning of others. You can handle your activities, not those of others. On the off chance that you continually censure others for their weaknesses, you'll just make yourself troubled while they keep on partaking in their lives. Carry on with your life as per your own guidelines, and let others experience theirs. To turn into a more grounded, more focused individual, you should rehearse self-control every day. This implies considering yourself responsible for your choices, scrutinizing your activities, and endeavoring to learn and develop. The exclusive expectations you set for yourself require difficult work and responsibility. Notwithstanding, you likewise need to acknowledge that certain individuals favor a more loosened-up way of life. They might appreciate celebrating, drinking, or doing hardly anything. Figure out how to endure their decisions and attempt to see their positive characteristics as opposed to zeroing in on their shortcomings. Nobody is totally positive or negative. We as a whole have the two qualities and imperfections. The distinction lies by the way we approach change. Certain individuals embrace difficulties while others are happy with a typical life. Enduring others might sound simple, however it's a troublesome expertise to dominate. On the off chance that you're skilled or an extraordinary pioneer, you might battle to acknowledge unremarkableness in your colleagues. Their slip-ups or powerlessness to measure up to your assumptions could disappoint you. You could end up inquiring as to why they can't take cues from you. Yet, here's reality. Individuals are unique. Not every person has a similar enthusiasm, ability, or insight. What you can realize in a day could take others weeks, and that is totally fine. At the point when you become an open-minded pioneer, individuals appreciate gaining from you. Your objective isn't to change everybody except to motivate them. Be unassuming, not discourteous. Take Cato the more youthful, the Roman savant, for instance. He was a model of discipline and straightforwardness, never displaying his riches. Regardless of being from a well-off family, Cato wore basic garments, didn't shave his facial hair, and lived unassumingly, even while serving in the military. He dozed on the ground close by his kindred troopers and satisfied his obligations without objection. Cato turned into an image of discipline and effortlessness in Rome. However, his sibling, Caepio, was the inverse, carrying on with an existence of extravagance, utilizing costly fragrances, and encircling himself with individuals Cato didn't support. Notwithstanding their disparities, Cato endured him. Self-restraint implies being severe with yourself, not others. You can expect goodness in individuals, yet you can't drive it upon them. The world is assorted, and anticipating that everybody should live by all accounts is ridiculous. Rather than controlling or passing judgment on others, center around personal development. Arriving at your maximum capacity is a long and testing venture. En route, you might confront analysis and obstruction. Not every person will acknowledge your principles and norms. Certain individuals with less discipline might try and outperform you, yet that doesn't make any difference. Try not to contrast yourself with others. Your emphasis ought to stay on controlling your own decisions and sentiments. Thus, remain positive and figure out how to endure others while being severe with yourself. You have your own objectives to accomplish, so don't sit around making a decision about others. Carry on with the existence you need, and allow others to do likewise. Furthermore, presently, we've come to the end result of this outline. We should pause for a minute to ponder all that we found out about discipline, the instruments to embrace, the propensities to keep away from, and the means expected to get a more grounded, really satisfying future. We should return to and build up these critical illustrations to guarantee they stay with you long after this synopsis closes. To begin with, we found the force of getting up right on time. For makers, early mornings offer unequaled efficiency. Whether you're composing a book or seeking after an individual objective, embracing the harmony and focal point of this time can have a significant effect. Then, we took in the significance of reliable activity. Despite how you feel, appearing consistently and making significant strides is a superpower. Try not to allow your feelings to control you. Center around the main thing and continue to move along. We additionally investigated the worth of uneasiness. An agreeable life can be a snare, leaving you not ready for life's inescapable difficulties. By getting out of your usual range of familiarity, you assemble the strength expected to handle affliction head-on. Then, we inspected the need of laying out boundaries and staying away from interruptions. Figuring out how to express no to things that don't serve your development is fundamental. Be amiable, however firm, and commit just to what lines up with your own and proficient objectives. Compulsiveness was another basic example. Taking a stab at faultlessness frequently prompts loss of motion. All things being equal, center around following through with responsibilities, regardless of whether they are more than a little flawed, and advance as you go. Progress matters more than flawlessness. We likewise recognize that disappointment is a characteristic piece of life. Genuine progress lies in your capacity to ascend in the wake of falling, gaining from difficulties, and pushing ahead more grounded than previously. At last, we tended to the job of cash. While it can give opportunity, it's perilous when it begins to control your life. Make progress toward a harmony between spending, saving, and effective money management, guaranteeing your monetary decisions line up with your objectives. Self-restraint is the foundation of a fruitful life. It fortifies your body, brain, and soul, making you stronger and versatile. In any case, recollect, there's really no need to focus on being awesome. It's about non-stop learning and improvement. Remain modest, regardless of how rich or effective you become, and center around controlling your activities as opposed to making a decision about others. The excursion toward self-restraint is difficult, however it's worth the effort. By rehearsing discipline day to day, you'll open your true capacity and accomplish significance. So take these examples, apply them, and let discipline guide you to an existence of direction, achievement, and satisfaction. I'd very much want to hear your considerations in the remarks. What impacted you the most? Was it the significance of getting up ahead of schedule, embracing inconvenience, or maybe the force of reliable activity? Tell me. Your excursion to progress begins with little steps. Also, I'm here to help you en route. Remain tuned for additional enabling synopses. What's more, until sometime later, recall, discipline isn't a weight. It's the way to opening your true capacity.